Hello and welcome. So today I'm going to be walking you through creating a two-tier VPC using Terraform. So we're going to be working on this. We're going to be creating a two-tier VPC using Terraform. Now, if you are new, when we talk about VPC, this is a service called Virtual Private Cloud that is mostly used in an AWS environment. So I have a README file here about a VPC, specifically what it is, and then the couple things that we're going to be launching, including the service that we are using, the resource we're using to deploy, which is what? Terraform. Now, the lines of code that I'm going to be using for this particular lab are all configured in my GitHub account. So we have a README file, which I just showed you. And then we have a main.tf that have everything configured. Basically, I'm going to be showing you that using my Visual Studio Code, right? I have my Terraform.tf files, including my variable.tf file. As you can see, these are in text format. So once we pull it into Visual Studio Code, we're going to make a little bit of a modification. And I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to put this into Visual Studio Code. Now, as you can see below here, I have my command prompt with me. Okay, so I want to move this into my local computer, which is going to be displayed from here on my downloads. And then from my local computer, I'm going to be pulling this up in Visual Studio Code. Now to begin, we are going to go to code, and then once we click on code, you can see the HTTPS which says clone above here. So we're going to clone this. You can choose SSH, GitLab, but this is the one we're going to be working with for this lab. So I'm going to copy this. And then once I copy this, the next thing I'm going to do is I'll come down to my terminal. On my terminal, I want to first of all list out the folders and files that I have on my computer. I do have a lot. So if I type in ls, of course, it says it does not recognize. So which means command prompt doesn't work for this, right? Good. Now, which particular service can we use, or which terminal prompt can we use for this? We can use git. Now I have git and I'm going to pull it up. All right, so I have my Git up. So let's try the command once more. So I type in ls, and when I list it up, there we go. So we have a list of information right here. Now remember, we want to go to our downloads, okay? So I'm going to highlight and copy this. So when I copy my downloads, I'll come down and then I'll type in CD here, give a space, and paste in what I just copied, which is downloads. So that wasn't pasted correctly. Let's type it in. So cd downloads. All right, there we go. So we typed it in and it works. Now we are in downloads. Okay, if we type in ls and downloads, it pulls up a couple things that are here. And as you can see, we have these particular files, Telegram desktop, Terraform project, weekly, and whatnot. And if you look here on my computer, on my local computer, you see exactly the same thing. You see favor access key, you're going to see Telegram, weekly. So what is being displayed right here is what you're looking at in here. Now, this is where we want to clone our resource into. So for us to clone, we're going to type in git clone, give a space, we'll copy this again, and then we'll come down here and we'll paste this in. So we'll paste this in and then we'll click on enter. So when we click on enter, when you look here closely, you see it starts cloning and it says cloning has been done. So the cloning is done, everything has cloned successfully. If we scroll up, we should be able to see that this has cloned basically. So this information has been cloned to our downloads. Okay, So as you can see, the resolve is done. Now let us try pulling this up from Visual Studio Code. Now, in order to pull this up from Visual Studio Code, exactly what do we need to do? All right, so I'm going to pull up the information here. So once I pull it up, we have our file. Let's go ahead and move this. So click on this. So once we click on this, we have file. So on this file, we're going to click on open folder. Okay. So click on open folder, and then once you open folder, it's going to open up our folder. So once our folder is opened up, we're going to go to downloads where we have the information pulled in. Okay. So once we go to downloads where we have cloned the information, next we have to search and pull up the information that we have cloned, right? And then when we take a look at this environment, we see labs. Okay, so this is the repo that we cloned in. How do you know? When you go to the GitHub repository, you see the name as labs. Okay, so we're going to select this, and then we're going to click on select folder. Okay, now once we select this folder, it's going to come up with the files that we have configured within it. Yes, we are going to trust this author, and when we look at this file, we have a main.tf which has been configured. We have a variable.tf which has been configured. We have a terraform.tf which has been configured. Of course, here is where we are now going to put in our access key and our secret key. Okay, all right. So now this is not yet good to go. So we're going to make sure this is good by renaming this. So we're going to rename. While we are renaming, what exactly do we want to rename? We're just going to remove the txt, make sure that the Terraform is well recognized, and we're going to do it for all the files. Okay, so remove the txt as well, because we created this using a notepad, by the way. So we're going to remove the last one as well, and then once we remove that, we should be good to go. All right, so once we are done with this, the next thing we want to do is to make sure we get our access key and secret key. As you can see right here, I have my access key and I have my secret key right here on my computer. I can go ahead and pull that out. Now remember, these are sensitive keys, right? So I'm not just going to pull it out and show it. So I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to fill it in right here, where I'm going to put in my access key here. I'm going to put in my secret key here as well. So for me to put in my access key and secret key, how am I going to do that? Now I'm going to make sure I highlight everything here, and then I paste it with my access key. Same thing with my secret key. This is how it should be highlighted. The only thing you're going to leave is this. Okay, this is the only thing you're going to leave. So I'm going to get mine real quick. All right, so now I've pasted in my access key, and also I've pasted in my secret key. Okay, so this is just a snippet of the secret key. Here is a full image of the access key. Now remember, these are sensitive keys, so do well to change yours while you are playing around with it. I'm also going to change this once I'm done. Now, when we go to the main.tf, let's take a look at exactly what I have on my main.tf. There we go. So I have my provider I'm deploying to AWS. The region has been specified on my variable, including my access key and my secret key, which you saw in the terraform.tf files. Now, the resource I'm going to be deploying into the AWS account is VPC. Okay, this is the resource type, which is this is the resource name. We have some of the attributes here, which comes with an argument. And then when we look down below, we have other resources that I'm going to be deploying, which includes internet gateway. I'm going to spin up a route, okay? And also when you look down below, I'm going to be creating a subnet as well. Now, I created a variable for this, and then these variables can be found on the variable.tf files where you can see this. Now, I can do a little bit more here, but this is just a sample, right? Now, once everything has been configured, the next thing we want to do is to deploy. To deploy, we know what to do. We click here, we come down to terminal, and then we'll click on New Terminal. All right. So while here on New Terminal, one of the things I love to do is to click on ls to list out files, everything that I've configured, make sure that I'm good, right? I have my main.tf file, have my terraform.tf files, the variables, actually in the directory that I need to be to deploy. Once that has been verified and confirmed, then I can now go ahead and hit my what Terraform what init. So this Terraform init is going to initialize my template for what? For deployment. So wait for it to initialize. Of course, it says fail to query available provider package. So could not retrieve the list of available versions for the provider, yada yada yada. This is a well-known error which can be easily rectified. All right, so let's go ahead and rectify this, make sure that this is good to go. All right, so there we go. Our Terraform has been fully initialized. Now, when you look at this error, again, it says this is usually a temporary error during hostname what resolution. It means that the local server do not receive a response from an, you know, so there we go. All right, so we initialized. And after reinstalling and reinstating the Terraform init, we were able to have this good to go. So now we are going to validate. So Terraform validate, we're going to validate our template. Make sure that this is syntactically valid. So once we have confirmed that our script is valid, there we go. We can now go ahead and do what? Plan. So if our access key and secret key is wrong, then we're of course going to have errors with plan, which means we have to go back and grab a new access key and also grab a new what? Secret key. Now, if our plan goes through successfully, then we don't have to worry about that. There we go. So it says validating provider what? Credentials. So which means that our access key and our secret key is wrong. Something might have happened to it. So this is why I said, always change it because it may be tampered with. So most likely my access key and secret key has been failed to being recognized, which means that something has gone wrong. I need to make sure that there is a change. So I'm going to go back and make the changes to my access key and my secret key. Then I can now run my what? My plan. All right, so after making appropriate changes to my access key and my secret key, which of course this time around needs to be kept protected and also changed for next project, I was able to do what? Run my Terraform plan, and Terraform has been able to plan out the resources to add and the resources to change, as well as the resources to destroy. As you can see, 9 is to be added, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. Now, once the plan has been initiated successfully, the next thing we want to go ahead and do is run Terraform mode apply. So once I run my Terraform apply, let's hold on a couple minutes, let's pull this up so that we can have a full detail of what is planning out or what is being applied. Now you see, when I run my apply, a state is created, right? A terraform.tf state file is created right here. So we can see it is clearly stated here. So we're just going to wait a couple minutes and then this is going to apply the resources into the AWS account. Now, it says Terraform will perform the action described above only yes. So it's going to prompt it for approval. We're going to type in yes to approve the application, and then it will start applying this into the AWS account. All right, so looking at it, our apply is complete. The resources has been added. And if we check on our AWS account, we should see that the resources have been deployed. Now, when you look at the terraform.tf state, you see that a tf state file has been created for you, basically. right? And these are the files that was created for you as a result of the two-tier VPC. This goes on and on. All right. So we are going to destroy this. We don't want this running for long in order not to incur costs. So what we're going to do is we're going to run Terraform destroy. So Terraform is going to destroy the resources. And there we have it. So Terraform has destroyed those resources. All right. All right. So this is the project, a shop lab, which we're able to implement. Again, creating a two-tier Amazon VPC using Terraform.